My daughter did not lower her voice when she tried to erase me from her life. She looked me dead in the eyes and screamed, "It is your duty to pay for my wedding if you will not. Then get out of my life forever for a heartbeat." The room went painfully still. I heard her words the way someone hears glass breaking sharp. Final. Impossible to take back. Alina stood across the dining table. Chin lifted. Shoulders squared like she had practiced this in a mirror. Her fiancé Julian sat beside her, pretending to study the grain of the table instead of the fight he helped create. I waited for her to soften, to blink, to show anything that resembled the daughter I raised. Instead, she smirked. A small, cold curve of her mouth, the kind she used when she believed she had already won. "You heard me." She added, "This is what mothers do. You step up when your daughter needs you." I forced myself to breathe. I never agreed to pay for anything. "You do not have to agree," she shot back. "You owe me. You have a stable life, a stable job, a house I helped fill when things were hard for me. It is my wedding, Mom. You should want to give me a perfect day." Julian shifted, mumbling, "Maybe we can talk through this." "No," Alina snapped. "She either pays or she leaves my life. I am done negotiating." There it was, the ultimatum she clearly thought would crush me. For so many years, maybe it would have. I felt something inside me click, not break. Click, a small truth sliding into place. If I did not stop this now, there would never be an end to what she believed she deserved from me. I stood slowly. The chair legs scraped the floor with a sound that cut through her confidence. I pushed the chair back under the table, the motion neat and controlled. The opposite of her chaos. Alina's smirk widened. "So, are you paying or not?" I looked at her, really looked. The entitlement, the certainty, the belief that my love meant obedience, in the calmest voice I have ever had. I said, "You have 24 hours to leave my house." Her smirk collapsed. Julian's head jerked up as if I had slapped the air between us. Alina stared at me, stunned, her mouth parting just enough to let fear slip in. I walked away before any of them could speak, and for the first time in years, the silence behind me felt like mine. That was the moment I realized this story did not begin at that table. It began long before my daughter believed she had the right to speak to me that way. I raised Alina alone in Savannah after my marriage cracked apart. I remember packing our things into 2 worn suitcases. Her small hand gripping mine, her voice trembling as she whispered, "Mom, are we going to be okay?" I promised her we would, back then. I believed that if I loved her enough, I could shield her from every wound this world might give her. I did more than shield her. I overcorrected. Whenever she forgot her homework in elementary school, I drove it to her before work. When she pushed another girl during a schoolyard argument, I sat in the principal's office insisting she was overwhelmed and needed patience. Then came high school, and every time she overspent or crashed the old sedan I bought her, or skipped assignments, I covered the fallout with apologies and money. "Mom, you always fix things," she would say. Smiling like that made us closer. I should have heard the warning in it. After my divorce, my family poured praise on her like water on a thirsty plant. "She is so bright," my mother would say. "She deserves more than other kids," my sister once told her, right in front of me. "You should never settle. Your mother will make sure you get what you need." Alina absorbed every word. She never questioned it. Neither did I. I wanted her to feel valued, supported, special, everything I did not feel when I left my marriage. I confused love with compensation. I thought giving more would fill the gaps her father left behind. When she acted selfishly, I softened it. When she acted cruelly, I explained it away. When she acted entitled, I told myself, she is just confident. But confidence grows differently when no one ever says no. One afternoon, when she was around 16, she looked me in the eye and said, You did not remind me about the application deadline. If I miss it, it is your fault. I laughed then, thinking it was teenage dramatics. But she meant it. She truly believed responsibility belonged everywhere except her hands. It took me years to realize I had been teaching her that love was supposed to bend, accommodate, and repair anything she broke, including me. The night she threatened to cut me out of her life, I finally saw the shape of what I had built, and I could not help wondering when love had turned into obligation so quietly that I did not even see it. 2 years before the night she screamed at me, Alina showed up at my door with Julian and 2 suitcases. She said the word temporary like it was a promise, just until we get back on our feet. She told me. Julian nodded beside her, avoiding my eyes. I stepped aside and let them in. Within a week, the promise dissolved. Alina wandered through the hallway, opened the door to my master bedroom, and said, "This feels better for us. The light is nicer. You can use the guest room. You barely sleep here anyway." She did not ask. She did not check my face for hurt. She simply walked in and began placing her clothes in my dresser as if she had always belonged there. "Alina," I said, "that is my room." She turned, confused. "Mom, it is not a big deal. You said this was temporary. I did. So let us be comfortable during it." Julian added quietly, "It is only for a little while." Though he already had his shoes off and his backpack on the bed, the guest room mattress was thin. I told myself I could tolerate it for a month. But 1 month blurred into 3, then 6. Temporary became the new normal. Bills changed first. "The electric bill is ridiculous," I muttered one morning. Julian shrugged. 72 degrees is comfortable." "It is expensive. We will pay you back," Alina said. But they never did. Food vanished as soon as I bought it. Groceries that used to last a week disappeared in 2 days. When I asked gently, Alina only laughed. "Mom, you are so particular. Just eat what is there." Then came the arguments over the thermostat, over my car, over quiet hours. My home felt crowded by people who acted like it belonged to them. One afternoon, Alina walked into the kitchen holding my phone. "You missed a call," she said. "A wedding planner wanted to confirm the date." "What date?" "Why would they call me?" She rolled her eyes. "Because I gave them your number. You respond faster than I do." "Alina, I never agreed to be involved." "You are being dramatic again." "They just need someone reliable." Reliable! The word lodged like a thorn. By the time summer arrived, even the mail no longer felt like mine. Envelopes addressed to me carried invoices I had never heard of, somewhere between yes and silence. My home had become a staging ground for their demands, and I had barely noticed until the damage was already done. The first call came on a Tuesday morning while I was sorting mail at the kitchen counter. A bright voice said, "Hi, this is Carolina Shore Events in Charleston. We're confirming the reservation under Marielle Thompson for the date in June. We still need the deposit of $3,500. I gripped the phone. I did not make any reservation. A pause. "Your daughter Alina provided your name and number. She said you were handling payment." My stomach tightened. "I am not." The woman on the line hesitated, then apologized softly before hanging up. I stood there, staring at the silent phone, feeling something cold settle in my chest. Minutes later, Julian strolled in, stretching. "Hey, Marielle, Alina told me you were taking care of the venue stuff. Thank you for being such a generous mother." I turned slowly. I never agreed to pay for anything. His smile faltered. "She said you would. She said you wanted to." "No," I said, letting the word land cleanly between us. "I did not." Alina walked in as if summoned. What now? I held up my phone. Charleston called. "They think I am paying?" She blinked at me like I was inconveniencing her. "Mom, it is a deposit. You always handle things better than I do." It is not a big deal. A deposit for a wedding I did not plan. Well, you said you wanted to help. I said I was happy for you, I corrected. She huffed. Same thing. It is not. The room grew tight. Julian rubbed his forehead. Maybe we can split it. Alina shot him a glare. Why are you making this complicated? I felt that old familiar twist, the one where they turned my refusal into a character flaw. Before I could answer, there was a knock at the door. My neighbor, Mrs. Langford, smiled brightly. Marielle, congratulations! I heard you're sponsoring a huge Charleston ceremony for Alina. That is wonderful of you. My breath caught. I am not sponsoring anything. She blinked in confusion. Oh, well, that is not what I heard. Alina stood behind me, arms crossed, eyes hard, as if daring me to contradict the story she had already painted for the world. I closed the door and faced them, the weight of their expectations pressing down like a hand on my throat. They were building dreams with my name and my wallet, as if both belonged to them and always would. I booked an appointment with Dr. Rena Leibold after standing in my own kitchen and realizing I no longer recognized the sound of my daughter's voice unless it carried a demand. Sitting across from the therapist's desk, I felt small, like I was confessing something shameful instead of asking for help. Dr. Leibold adjusted her glasses and folded her hands. Tell me what brought you in today. Marielle. My daughter and her fiancé live with me. I began. It was supposed to be temporary, but now it feels like I am serving them, paying for them, apologizing for them. She nodded gently. And how does that make you feel? Used, I admitted, but also guilty, like saying no makes me a bad mother. She leaned forward, her voice steady. You are not confused. You are conditioned, and your daughter is benefiting. The words sank into me slowly, like ink spreading across paper. Conditioned, yes, she said. You were trained over years to make yourself smaller so your daughter's needs could fill every space. That is not love. That is survival, and she learned it works. I swallowed hard. She gets angry when I refuse anything. That is because anger has always rewarded her. You absorb it. You bend for it. I looked down at my hands. She used my name for wedding reservations. She told people I am paying. She talks to me like I am obligated. That is entitlement, Dr. Leibold said calmly. Not affection. A tremor went through me. I keep thinking she will change if I just explain myself better. She will not. She said, change rarely comes from comfort. It comes from boundaries. I shifted in my chair, the leather creaking beneath me. If I set one, she will punish me. She already punishes you, Dr. Leibold replied. But you keep waiting for her to stop without ever interrupting the pattern. Her words struck something deep. I felt a strange mixture of grief and clarity twist in my chest. On the drive home, every small cruelty suddenly shone under a harsh light, Alina tossing her laundry at me with a distracted, "Can you, Julian, expecting dinner without asking?" The way they both acted like the house belonged to them, and I was only keeping it warm. By the time I walked through my front door, a quiet resolve had begun to form inside me. I wanted to see what might happen if I finally stopped being the version of myself they depended on. Sunday dinner used to mean comfort. But that night, the air felt rehearsed. Alina had straightened her posture the moment she sat down, as if waiting for a cue. Julian kept his eyes on his plate, chewing slowly, offering the occasional nod like an understudy who hoped no one would ask him to speak. I set the last dish down and sat across from them. No one touched their food. Alina broke the silence first. Mom, we need to talk about the wedding. Her voice was smooth, unnaturally controlled. She had practiced this. I folded my hands. Go ahead. She inhaled sharply. then launched into a monologue so polished it felt like a script. This wedding is once in a lifetime. It deserves to be done right. And you, she pointed at me as if assigning a task will help. Julian stiffened, but stayed quiet. His silence had become its own kind of agreement. I kept my tone even. How much are you expecting? She didn't hesitate. $32,000. The number punched through the room. Julian glanced at her. Startled. But she didn't break eye contact with me. That is a lot of money, I said. It is a wedding, she replied. You should be proud to contribute. I never agreed to this. Alina scoffed. You did not disagree either. Mom, stop making this complicated. You always step up. Just do it again. Alina, I said softly. I cannot fund your wedding. Her expression hardened instantly. Then get out of my life forever. Julian muttered, Alina. But she cut him off with a sharp look. Her lips curled into that smirk, the same one she wore when she wanted something and believed the world existed to hand it to her. You are not going to ruin this for me, she said. You will pay. You always do. Something in me settled. Not anger, not fear. Just a quiet, steady certainty. I stood. The motion alone made Julian's fork clatter against his plate. I placed my napkin down, smoothing it once before meeting my daughter's eyes. You have 24 hours to leave my house. Her smirk froze, disbelief flickering behind it. Julian's head snapped up as if he'd misheard. I walked out before either of them could speak. My heart beat calm in a way I had not felt in years, and deep inside, one thought pulsed, steady as breath. Would they take me seriously? Or would they push back even harder? The moment my bedroom door closed behind me, the house erupted. First came the shock, silent, brittle, then the rage. Alina stormed down the hallway. You are not serious. Mom! You cannot just throw us out. You cannot do this to me. Julian followed, louder. This is insane. Do you have any idea what you are doing? I stepped into the living room, keeping my voice steady. I am following through. You are ruining the wedding, Alina cried, tears streaking down her cheeks. You are ruining everything. I am saving myself. I said, No. She spat. You are being selfish. Julian pointed at me. We are not packing. You cannot legally evict us in 24 hours. You are guests. I reminded him, not tenants. That is ridiculous. He snapped. Alina folded her arms. We are not leaving. End of discussion. I walked past them calmly, picked up my phone, and dialed the police non-emergency line. I put it on speaker. This is Savannah non-emergency dispatch. How may I help you? Julian's face drained. Alina's breath hitched. The dispatcher waited. I spoke clearly. I have 2 adults refusing to leave my home after being asked to vacate. I need to know the steps to have them removed. Julian's hand shot out, slapping the air. Stop! Hang up! We will go! Alina's sobs turned jagged. Fine. Fine, I ended the call. They rushed toward the bedroom, angrily pulling drawers open, tossing clothes into suitcases. For once, their noise did not shake me. The mini-twist arrived when Julian stormed out first, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. This is not my problem anymore, he muttered, before disappearing into the night. Alina stayed behind, packing slowly, crying harder, blaming me between every breath. I did not answer. I sat on the edge of the couch and listened as the chaos thinned into silence. A silence I had not heard in years. When the house finally went quiet, it felt like breathing for the first time. The morning after they left, the house felt strangely still. No footsteps thudding down the hallway. No whispered arguments behind my bedroom door. My actual bedroom, the one I had reclaimed the moment Alina walked out. Just quiet, real quiet, the kind that settles into your bones. I walked into the kitchen and opened the fridge out of habit, bracing myself for the usual emptiness, but everything I bought was still there. The eggs, the berries, even the container of soup I had been saving. I let out a breath I had not realized I was holding. I cooked breakfast, the first breakfast in months that was for me. And only me. When I set the plate down at the table, I almost cried at the simplicity of it. No interruptions, no demands, no one asking why I did not buy the cereal they preferred or why the coffee was not ready. Around mid-morning, my friend Nora stopped by unannounced. She stepped inside and looked around, then back at me. "Marielle," she said softly, "you look younger." I laughed a little, touching my cheek. "I feel different. You seem lighter," she replied. "What happened?" I hesitated before answering. I enforced a boundary. She nodded slowly, as if understanding more than I said. Good. It was time. After she left, I sat at the dining table with a notebook and began sorting through the mess they left in their wake bills. Credit alerts. Overdue notices from vendors who had assumed my wallet was theirs. I started writing a plan to rebuild what they drained, step by step. As the hours passed, the house felt more familiar, almost as though it had been holding its breath along with me. Every cupboard I opened, every corner I walked past, reminded me of how much I'd surrendered without noticing. By evening, the weight I had been carrying for years had thinned into something manageable. Not gone, but no longer suffocating. Still, as I washed my plate and dried it by the sink, a quiet awareness settled in. Alina had never let go of anything without a fight, and she had never expected a version of me who did not bend. I knew she would come back in some form. What I did not know was what she would do now that manipulation no longer worked on me. 2 weeks passed in a blur of quiet routines. Then, at 1:57 in the morning, my phone rang. The sound sliced through the darkness like it had been waiting for this exact hour to break me. I answered before I could talk myself out of it. "Hello." A shaky breath, then a sob. "Mom, I need help." Alina's voice thin, cracked. Terrified washed over me. I sat up in bed, heart thudding. "Alina, what happened?" More crying. "Julian left. He is gone. He said he cannot deal with this. He said the wedding is off." I closed my eyes. "I am sorry. That is not all," she whispered. "I am pregnant." The room tilted. Every instinct I had spent decades sharpening surged forward. Fix it. Rescue her. Carry her weight until she can breathe again. I gripped the edge of the blanket, grounding myself. "Mom, please," she begged. "I do not have money. I do not know what to do. I cannot do this alone. Let me come back. Please." My throat tightened. "I love you," I said, keeping my voice steady, "but I cannot save you at the cost of losing myself again." A small, broken sound spilled from her. "So you are abandoning me?" "No," I said softly. "I am giving you support that does not destroy me." I listed programs in Savannah: maternity assistance, counseling centers, job support, every resource I could offer that did not require sacrificing my home or my boundaries. She said nothing, only breath uneven. "Wounded. Alina," I whispered. "You can do this. You just have to choose to stand." The line went silent. Then she hung up. I set the phone down slowly, my heartbeat heavy but steady, wondering whether this was the moment my daughter finally learned to stand, or whether she would fall back into the patterns that had shaped her whole life. A year after she screamed at me to pay for her wedding, my daughter walked into my home again, not entitled, not smirking, but humbled by a life she once thought she did not need to build. She stood in the doorway holding her son, her voice quieter than I had ever heard it. "Mom, I came to return something." I nodded, letting her speak. "I am working full-time at the daycare now," she said. I pay my own rent, my own groceries, my own bills. I did not think I could do it, but I am doing it. I looked at the baby in her arms. He blinked up at me, calm and curious. He looks healthy, I said. He is. She whispered, and I am learning. I am trying. There was no demand beneath her words. No expectation, only effort. I am proud of you. I said, and I want us to move forward. Slowly, with boundaries that protect both of us. She swallowed hard. I can do that. I want to do that, for the first time. She stepped into my home without taking anything. We talked for a while, carefully. Respectfully, each of us rebuilding something neither of us knew how to name. When she left, the house stayed peaceful. My life stayed mine, and my daughter, step by step, began choosing growth instead of entitlement. If this story reminds you of a moment you finally chose yourself, tell me where you are listening from. When a mother finally chooses herself. What kind of daughter chooses to grow instead of repeating the past?